Welcome back to Smashing Heads Podcast. This is episode 33. It is our finale for The Ruins. Episodes 9 and 10. My name is Zach, and as always, I'm joined by my wife, Hannah.
Hey, you know, sometimes I really think I could play the drums.
And my best friend, Jake.
I like how you came in with the beat dropped. How's everybody doing tonight?
And it faded. I didn't forget to do it.
You are so on point tonight. It's unreal.
You know, I'm trying to run a tight ship here.
Here's the thing is that I came in super dour tonight. Is that the word?
What word did you just say?
Is that not a word?
Well, I don't know what you said.
Drab?
Did you say dowered?
No.
Dower.
Dour. Is that not a word?
Like a dowry that you pay when you want to get married.
I don't know if I'm just really stupid right now or if I legitimately...
I may be the really stupid
Or maybe
one.
Jake's the one that's really stupid.
I come in really down tonight. Let me just say
I pride
that.
myself on having a pretty good vocabulary.
I do
and
too.
I feel really dumb because I don't know that word.
So, and I just want to give a shout out to you guys because you made me feel good. I feel better about my life, you know? I was on the edge. And
you're listening to a lot of Papa Roach.
I'm living on a prayer. Let's be honest.
That's not Papa Roach.
You know, if it was a little bit colder outside, I could make you some more hot chocolate.
I don't know why you didn't anyway. It's cold outside.
It's also rainy.
Well, it's not raining today. It'll be.
It's still wet, and it's supposed to rain all week long, which is going to suck.
The other thing that made me feel really good is Hannah complimented my hair tonight.
I told you look like a Power Rangers villain.
I just so happened to...
And then I was like, oh yeah, that's what it is.
I just so happened to have it pulled back in a bun tonight. And
not really a bun. It's more of a ponytail.
It is not. That is a bun. It's just, it's not long enough yet to where it can...
It's like a crescent roll.
Yeah.
More than a bun.
So, you know, I've been growing my hair out and... you know, it's been a process. You know, when
the process.
My first marriage, actually, my only marriage.
Here we go.
You're the first one.
My only marriage. When our wedding day, I actually. So when you're growing your hair out, and our guy Mikey from Memphis can attest to this because he's growing his hair out.
Okay.
I know because I follow
I was
him
like,
on
he
Twitter.
wasn't at your wedding.
No, he wasn't. But he may be invited to the next one. Who knows?
We'll see.
There's going to be another one.
But he's growing his hair out, and he's talking about how, like, he's in this weird... You hit this weird phase where it's too long to, like, wear normal, where you still have kind of some bangs and everything, but it's too short to push back.
That's why you take the horse pill hair supplements.
It's still... You have this weird phase, and on my wedding day, I was in the middle of the weird phase, and I looked like I should have been on an episode.
Is that why your marriage didn't work?
That's what it was.
Now you're crossing some lines here.
That's what it was. It was a red flag.
Let's not call me out for my failure in marriage, all right?
You're the one that brought it up.
The fact is that I looked like I should have been on an episode of Friends in 1994. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, I know people who still dress like that.
Like I had the butt crack on the top of my head.
Oh, I love that though. I'm all in on the 90s look.
So,
forever.
Thank you, Hannah, for complimenting my little bun. It's finally getting to a place where I can. It's been. I felt good with it for a couple of months now, but it feels good to be able to do something with it.
I felt like you needed a compliment today.
But yeah, I needed it. But considering nobody's here to hear about my hair, the only other thing I wanted to address was Polly.
Because literally, before we started recording, I was like, "Hey, look at this Instagram story."
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate on what it was?
No, just Polly.
So there's this infatuation with the Joker that he has.
I wouldn't call it an infatuation.
I would absolutely call it. He wants to wear his skin.
Yeah.
I would call it more of a psychotic obsession.
I think that's kind of the definition of infatuation.
Well, he may very well be a psychopath.
It's a little too extreme.
But he had this little switchblade, right?
I feel like he's leaning into this more since we've been talking about it.
Do you think
because
he listens?
He listens.
Do you think he does? Because if we have any sort of influence into him turning into the Joker, and then eventually when he's on these challenges, every episode he dons the face paint, the trench jacket, the green hair, everything.
If he starts painting his face white before every challenge, and I know that we had a part in that, I might come full circle on him.
I'm already here. And
listen, Polly, we know you're listening. We know you hear this.
Let me talk about lions on your podcast.
Do it for us.
Do
it for us. We want the face paint.
But the switchblade was purple and green.
Yeah, and it said, "Why so serious?"
Why so serious?
It's so stupid.
Oh man, you say it's stupid. I say it's great.
Nope.
This is great. We're not talking about the car stuff.
But here's the dumb thing. Like, legitimately, I think his favorite Joker is probably Jared Leto.
And it's not the good one.
No, that's the worst one.
Honestly, how do you say his name?
Heath Ledger?
Joaquin
Phoenix?
That may be.
I have high hopes for that because he's a good actor.
I'm gonna have to.
He's phenomenal. I'm so sad that his brother River's not around because he was a good actor.
Well,
too.
he died like 20 years ago.
I know, but he was good too.
I am going to have to, because I don't follow Polly personally on anything.
I don't either.
I don't either because I don't want to see him.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to follow him specifically to see how he feels about Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
He's gonna love it. It doesn't matter. It could be the worst thing in the world.
But he's my validation for what a Joker should be. Honestly,
you need validation through Pauly.
I feel like I don't like that because I did like the Joker as a character, as a villain.
And he's ruined it for me.
He is ruining it for me.
Yeah.
Like the Killing Joke, like that Batman story. It's a really good story. Very dark, very rapey Joker. And I feel like he really would love that.
Well, don't give him any ideas.
Does Kara ruin Harley Quinn for you?
I never.
Or does Kara just ruin a lot of things?
Okay, I will say I was a fan of Harley Quinn like 10, 15 years ago. So, I mean, like, if it was back then and she was doing this, yes, she would have ruined it. Nowadays, I don't really care.
You know who does the voice of Harley Quinn on the new DC animated streaming service?
Is it the chick that was Tommy Pickles on Rugrats?
No, it's Kaylee Cuoco from The Big Bang Theory. The main blonde chick from The Big Bang Theory is Harley Quinn.
Not who you would have picked.
Cuoco? How do you say
Whatever.
Cuoco?
Cuoco?
Yeah, it's her.
Kaylee Cuoco?
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get us on this.
We're going to have a Cuoco stand.
Somebody's going to leave a bad review because we pronounced
Right.
Cuoco.
Cuoco.
Literally nobody. I've never known anybody that could say her name.
I mean, she probably can say her own name.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's the voice of Harley Quinn on new DC has its own streaming service, which has not gone well so far. But
when you've got angsty emo Robin leading the charge.
saying F Batman.
F Batman.
Well, that's not what he said. Anyway, I don't
Can we
want to
talk about the ruins?
I don't want to talk about
weirdos,
Polly.
man.
I don't want to talk about Polly. This is not a Polly podcast.
No, but
And it never will be.
I tell you what. Props to Mama Kim for kicking off this episode 9 strong. Mama Kim
By
coming
losing?
in.
Yeah.
Just her presence, though. It's her presence.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even take notes on it. I just wrote.
I got a few notes.
Susie won. I mean, the episode. Yes, I took notes on the
No,
episode.
I mean, I got a few notes on the elimination.
Well, I just wrote Susie won. Of course, we knew she was going to
Is your first note
Yeah.
that Mama Kim has quite the mom strength?
No, because she
No.
lost.
Well, she may have lost, but her and that, that tattoo on her lower back.
Does she have that?
What? I didn't see that.
You guys have missed that all season?
I
Yeah.
didn't see it.
Are you kidding me?
I wasn't as infatuated as you were with her.
Yeah, I don't pay that much attention to her.
She's got
No,
quite the spell on me. I see.
my note is just that Kim was really not excited about this elimination being physical.
She had the
which-
mom look on her face.
The thing was the fact that she was so intimidated by doing a physical elimination with Susie really surprised me because Kim, you can look at her and tell she's bigger. And so I figured she had, a pretty decent chance at winning, even though she didn't seem to have that much faith in herself.
Just, by the way, Kim's last challenge never came back after this.
Rest
I
in
looked it
peace.
up.
Yeah.
Rest in
R.I.P.
peace, Kim's challenge.
I mean,
career.
she's not dead, but
no, very much alive.
I can't verify that she's alive.
Can't confirm or deny.
Yeah.
anyway, Susie does pull the W on this one, but it was a hard fought win.
Yeah, they did
I mean,
fight good.
she scabbed her knee over.
Oh no. You act like that's the worst thing in the world.
No, I mean it was just
Good. Look at that carpet burn.
her knee was bleeding a lot, and then even later on in this episode and the next
Yeah,
episode,
she had bandages on her knee still.
You can see one that it was wrapped up, but when she didn't have it wrapped up, she had big scars on her kneecap.
If we're being technical, Han, a scab is what happens during the
Once it
healing
heals.
process.
He got you
Yeah,
on that
that's
one.
what I was talking about. Like later in the this episode and next episode, she's taken the bandages off and she's laying on the couch, and you can see where it has scabbed. But in the process of the elimination, it's just a bloody mess.
Like how the British people would say. What's that guy's name that lives in UK that listens to us? Birthday something?
Joss.
No, not. I mean, he might. I don't know.
Kyle.
Some guy on
Birthday
Twitter.
King.
That's it. Birthday
Yeah.
King. I couldn't remember.
Shout out to Birthday King for calling me a real one. It's pinned to the top of my Twitter page.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Okay, so
We're shouting out a lot of people tonight, by the way.
Okay, Johnny and Dunbar go next into elimination.
What?
I didn't know who I expected to win because
I knew who won.
Yeah, well, at this point, Johnny hasn't really proved anything. He
was scared to go in. I mean,
he was terrified about going in, and clearly he was the weakest guy on that team because you've got Kenny and Evan, but Derek, I mean, he may be the shortest, but he's one of the tougher fighters.
Yeah, again, at this point, Johnny was not the name he is now. It's hard to look back on and kind of notice that.
Well,
or think objectively about that.
I just noticed, I thought Susie and Kim fought it pretty hard, but Johnny and Dunbar were going at it like wild dogs.
So,
and
before you go any further,
I feel like we need to give a heads up.
I don't know if anybody heard it.
I heard it
in my headphones. So
I heard it, but I'm sitting really close to you.
For whatever reason, my stomach is making weird noises tonight, and my mic is sitting, in front of my face, but above my stomach. And we've already happened before we started recording.
We've already happened,
and we already heard my stomach
twice
growl twice. So if you hear a or something,
that's not what it sounded like. It sounded more like a howl. Like,
well, this one just now, if you heard it, it went.
It didn't
we did two very different noises.
The first time, just for reference, it was so loud and came through his mic into my headphones that for a second I thought it happened to me, and I was like, I didn't feel that. And
there's like a rumble in my stomach. I don't know if it's the protein shake I had.
Jake's gonna have explosive diarrhea on my very nice dining table.
I mean,
chair.
I would hope if that happened and you did have to have diarrhea, you wouldn't just sit on our chairs until it happens.
Our very nice chairs. Very nice cloth chairs.
No, I'm not in elementary school anymore.
Well, sometimes...
Is that what you did back then?
Well, when you use the bathroom in your pants, you can't just call your mom and be like, I crap myself. Because that's embarrassing. You can't tell your buddies at school you crapped. Did you never crap yourself ever as a kid?
No.
Are you serious?
Yes. I never did that.
All right. You've never
learning a lot about you.
You've never had to fart and then in the process of trying to fart, it actually, you have some come out.
No.
Oh, no, because what you did when you're farting, you're trying to get it to come, you're pushing it out.
But I'm not.
That's your own fault. You made it happen.
Right, okay.
When you fart, you're supposed to try to hold it in and let it out very slowly.
Did this happen a lot to you in school?
I would say in elementary school it happened at least 3 times.
Never once happened.
Jake.
And the worst thing ever...
Is that why you're like this?
No. The worst thing ever was that one time that it happened on the way to school. And... So here's the thing.
10 steps out the door.
I tried to tell my mom. I was in like the... God, this is embarrassing.
What did you do to her?
This happened in the 7th grade.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
Okay.
You're in middle school. If you were where I think you were at the senior high school.
That's right.
Oh, that's worse.
That's how we do it in Adamsville. And
no, it's not.
And so anyway, I tried to tell my mom, like, Mom, I forgot my books at my grandmother's. Can we go by and pick them up? Or at our house. I don't know why I said my grandmother's. At our house. She said, no, you're going to school. It's too bad. My mom was a too bad mom. And
did you
too
tell
bad,
her
so sad.
You had pooped in
No,
your
I don't
pants?
want to tell my mom I crap myself. I'm like 12 years old or something.
Yeah, but that's not as bad as just sitting in it and then going to school and sitting in it.
I feel like
because you're going to smell like it.
It traveled.
I feel like you made the wrong choice because, even though your mom would have been like, what's wrong with you? We just left the house. She would have ultimately still loved you and not
made you go to school like that.
She wouldn't have made fun of you.
You did it
probably.
to yourself. My mom would have made fun of me, but she still would have taken me back home to get clean clothes because she would tell me every single day when I walked out the door that I represent our family name, and she would not want me walking around the school
Why
like
did she put that type of pressure on you?
That's been my entire life. That explains a lot of things and why I am the way that I am and why I suffer from so many things.
Well, getting back on the ruins.
How did we get to this? I don't even remember what we were talking about. We're talking about Johnny and Dunbar.
Your stomach was making weird
That's
noises.
We had to stop and explain what the noises were. Okay,
so there is a decent chance that Jake just craps his pants while we're recording.
I promise you I haven't crapped myself to this point. But what I want to say about Dunbar, okay, we are big Memphis Grizzlies fans, and one of our favorite... We are.
Yeah, no, that's not what I was questioning.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
I'm going here. But one of our favorite players ever is Tony Allen, right? Just realest guy in the room.
Did you just want to talk about Tony Allen?
No, but one of his things is like calling out these fake tough guys. Zach Randolph would do it too, right? He is in the challenge world, to me, fakest tough guy ever, because like he's making these noises.
I don't know about ever.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Worse than Danny?
All right, we've got Dunbar Stan. Let's go. Let's hear what you got to say about it.
No, I thought it was super weird that he started growling like an animal.
All right,
super
so
weird.
The main thing I took away from this whole thing, I was like, it's very strange looking on what we're used to now, that no one had on helmets or anything in this type of elimination.
Yeah, they wear all kinds of protective gear these days.
We talked about this season seemed to be kind of a pivotal season as far as like they just revamped a lot of stuff after that, as far as like security being involved and people going home and whatever, and alcohol. I feel like this season was kind of like a free-for-all, and they're like, we got to rein this in a little bit.
Well, I mean, my notes from the Johnny and Dunbar elimination were they're literally getting as rough as possible with each other, and I wouldn't be surprised if one of them got hurt in the process of this.
It was a good win for Johnny because Dunbar's bigger than him. Dunbar doesn't have a record, but at this point, Johnny doesn't really have a track record.
Well, I mean,
he had won whatever the island.
The
before.
island, but that nobody really counts that because it's such a weird season. But after Johnny wins, they have him in that little confessional, the interview thing where it's just him. And it felt so weird watching him like explain to the camera and the audience, why he's there and how he's finally proven himself to his teammates and to the other competitors and then to the fans around the world. And I'm like, he would never say anything like that now.
But he wasn't like he was like third, fourth string at best on this team.
Fourth string on this team. For sure.
I mean, he wasn't a name that people were scared of. So, again, I think it was a good win for him. It probably started the upward trajectory on his whole challenge career.
I mean, I do think that this is the season that started to make Johnny who he is today.
I have a note on that because the next thing we get into is with this episode particularly. I was just like, oh, this is the mean Kenny episode. It actually goes into the next episode as well, but I was like, this is the uncomfortable Kenny is mean. And
well, at first, I mean, at first, nobody really thinks it's all that mean. Even Sarah. Because she kind of thinks it's like as a joke. She even said so herself. She's like, "Oh, I know they're just joking. They don't mean it. It's not anything too serious."
No, she said later, like her whole life, her defense mechanism has just been laughing it off.
Which, I mean, that's a good defense mechanism to have. Don't let them see you cry. Well, I mean, especially for people like that, they thrive off of seeing you react, knowing that they've gotten you. Like they found the crack that you're trying to hide, like it, and it's like a validation for that person. But if you don't react to them, if you don't let them know that they've found that crack, then I mean, eventually they get bored and give up.
What bothered me was obviously the Kenny stuff. Mm-hmm. Sarah's in the pool. She's just kind of gotten away from everything. She's got to like break for a second, right? And Evan in his confessional says that Sarah loves attention. Mm-hmm. As if this is the reason she's crying or she's upset is because she wants attention. It's the dumbest. And we see even on into the next episode, like the bullying continues and he's, Sarah, stop. And it's like.
He did say that, but for me in this episode, I actually felt like Evan was.
It's so fake to me though.
See, I didn't feel that way.
I don't find it legitimate at all.
I feel like Evan was legitimate as he didn't stop anything, but I think when he really thought about what was going on, he genuinely knew that some lines had been crossed, and he was trying to do what he could to make up for it.
The way I saw this was, they say Kenny and Evan pick on Sarah. I didn't really see.
It's mostly Kenny and Johnny.
I didn't really see Evan do or say anything. It was like 90% Kenny and maybe a little bit Johnny too. But Johnny, he wasn't high enough on the pecking order to, you know, for it to really do anything. It was mostly just Kenny. And yeah, like Sarah thought that they were just joking at first. And then Kenny, I think he had the opposite reaction when he saw that whatever he was saying to her was not really affecting her that much. He needed to go harsher and deeper until he broke her. And he kind of like shrugs it off as, this is a mental game. You do everything you can to break your competitor, to break the person that you're going up against so that they don't do well in the final. This is part of it. At some point, you have to draw the line on how severe you're going to get with this, because he does drive her to the point of breaking down and sobbing and crying. And I don't remember who said it, but Susie comes out to console her. And I think she just said, hey, he said that you're out here crying. Are you okay? And so they talk for a minute. And then Evan comes out. And I think when Evan found out that Sarah was actually crying, like it really did hurt her, he felt bad about not doing anything. And he did tell her, because Kenny was constantly berating her and telling her she was fat and ugly and stupid and all this stuff. And for girls, of course, that's like, if anybody told me I was fat, ugly, and stupid, I would not be okay. But Evan, he came to her and he did say, you're a supermodel, don't change.
I do feel like Evan was genuine. I feel like it was, he realized that the line, because I'll say we've seen past seasons where Johnny and Kenny specifically have both acted way over the line. And I can't, and I'm not saying there's not, because some of the seasons we haven't gone back and watched, obviously, since they aired. I can't remember seeing Evan and being like, oh, this guy's really crossing the line, like playing on people's like emotions. I don't remember that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I personally don't remember it. I will say, you know, just for sake of reference, until we went back and watched the ruins and the island and all that, I didn't remember Johnny and Kenny being this over the line. I don't know if it was just a product of the times or we were just, I mean, again, when this aired, I was 20.
Yeah.
And, like it's different. And I will say the stuff with Kenny, I think comes out of, he said it even on this season, he's an ex-fat kid. He got made fun of. And the weird thing is, he at one point tells Sarah to go like read her fantasy novels and play dress up or whatever. He's into some really nerdy stuff. But I think at this point in his life, he was trying to get away from that.
Yeah.
But like he's really into like professional wrestling, and he's really into like comic books and superheroes and stuff like that. Like to this day, he still like dresses up as like Batman and goes to Comic-Con in New York and stuff like that.
He does cosplay, which is like technically like a super nerdy thing. So,
but you can do that and still be sexy.
Yeah,
Mr. Beautiful. After all.
But
right.
for him to like be into this kind of stuff, and then
I think he was, again, we've said people always do things they do for a reason. I think he was playing off of his own insecurities growing up. He got made fun of for whatever, and he saw a weak person.
Well, maybe he noticed the triggers because they were so similar.
I will say, I did see today, someone tweeted to Johnny in particular about, I saw it on Reddit today, so it happened either today or yesterday, but about how they just rewatched The Island, and they were like, I do not like you when you were on the island. You were horrible. And Johnny just quoted it. Like, he didn't just reply to the guy. He quoted it and was like, I don't like myself when I was on the island. Like, so at least you can say what you want about people.
Enough.
And I think that's why. So we know that Kenny backed out of a Challenge Mania event, and he kind of doesn't want anything to do with stuff. I think he probably looks back, and even though he had really good times and whatever, I think there are certain aspects he probably doesn't like in himself. Because I don't feel like he's that person anymore, just from what I've seen of him.
Well, I have not much to go off of for
that. He just is like really into CrossFit, and he like, I think he like partially owns a gym, and he's like doing like all the sponsored stuff for CrossFit. And
he's definitely doing something totally different.
I think he's just moved on. Like, I think he's in a new place. And that's
okay. There are a lot of the people on
Evan's
this
the same
season
way.
Are like that. They don't want anything to do with this anymore. And it could just be from guilt being how many years ago this was? 10 years
10
ago.
years.
No, but like it I've always liked Evan, even though he's with the top dog boy crowd with Kenny and Derek and
Derek's kind
Johnny.
of a lone wolf, though.
But
He was friends with them, but he never was.
But there were still a couple of times where he did and said things that made him a little bit. He could still call himself part of that pack. But the difference in Kenny and Evan is that, yes, they were the two top dogs. They were going to do everything they could to keep each other safe, to go to the final for every challenge they were on. And yes, Kenny would cross the line and Evan would stand by and not really do anything to stop it. But he never went out of his way to also behave that way. But I think Johnny, in this era, he was trying to make his way up the totem pole, and he saw that Kenny was really the one that usually called all the shots.
I feel like Evan had more power. I mean,
Evan had a lot of power, but Kenny was really the one that called most of the shots and made most things happen. And I think Johnny saw the alpha in Kenny and decided he needed to study him, learn from him, and behave like him. And that's why he behaved the way that he did on this season and on the island, because he knew Kenny then too.
But wasn't there one point earlier in a deliberation,
this season?
yeah, where Evan wasn't in there, and Johnny specifically made a point like Kenny doesn't have his dog Evan in here with him to like back him up on whatever. So I don't know if that's an indicator, because I always felt, I guess like you do, like I felt like Evan was the.
I agree. I think it was like 1A and 1B, but I always felt like Evan was more of like the dad role, where people look to him for the final, like, hey, is this what we should do? Now I will say, and I think it's the same deliberation. That's the one where Johnny tried to like bring up like, oh, I think maybe you should go,
because he felt like he could take advantage.
and Kenny was just like not having it. Yeah. So one thing we skipped over just because we got into the whole Kenny and Sarah thing. This is where the whole Susie and Johnny drama starts, is in the middle of all this.
Well, he really jumped on his train, didn't he?
It seems to come out of nowhere, like way out of left field.
And to be fair, I don't think any of us have watched. I don't think Hannah's ever seen the Inferno 3, and I know me and you
It's been a long,
have not probably watched it since
long
it
time,
came out. And so we need to go back and watch it. That's one of the seasons that wasn't on MTV. We actually have a way to watch these now. Shout out if you need to get that download link, hit us up. But we need to go back and watch the Inferno 3, because I don't remember all this beef between Johnny and Susie. But it's weird that it took to like the last 3 or 4 days for it to like boil over.
Yeah.
And it lasts throughout this whole.
Last through these 2 episodes until the end.
Well, he didn't seem to really have a problem with her until this point. And I don't know if it's maybe like a trigger for him, because like their issues were in the final that they did together, and maybe once he realized that she was also going to be in the final with him, it like maybe PTSD, and he thought she was going to do it again.
I don't know. Again, I can't speak on the Inferno 3 because it's been so long since I watched it.
But from just watching this season, not having any prior knowledge of this past issue, it seems like it's come out of nowhere.
Yeah, and so going into this daily, Johnny is trying to convince everyone else other than Susie, and they actually get caught by Susie talking about this. He's trying to convince them, hey, let's throw this last daily, so that way they'll pick who goes up against Susie, because they knew Kellyanne wanted more money. They knew if they won, Susie was going to pick Casey. That's the easy ride. No one would expect anything different at this point. Susie has almost $30,000. She's not going to risk it. And so they get to the daily. It's called Wall Walker, which as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, this is the one that Casey refuses to do. Like I just remember that from rewatching it. And the champs kind of want to throw it, but it's really just Johnny again. I think everyone else, like Kenny made the point of, I want that extra $4,000 because they split $20,000. Whichever team wins that daily gets $20,000 split between them. So the champs would get $4,000 each. The challengers would get like $6,330 a piece, something like that.
Yeah.
It's actually a little bit more.
But regardless, I mean, think of what you can do with $4,000.
Yeah, and that was Kenny's
Quite a bit.
point. He's like, even if Susie's with us, like, who cares? Like, I'd rather have the $4,000 guaranteed.
Yeah.
Than to maybe miss out on something else.
But like for this daily, the champs got to decide who went first, and obviously they're gonna make the challengers go first.
The best strategic pick.
So because the challengers, I just want to call it the girls' team because it's just Kellyanne, Sarah, and Casey. Because they have 2 less people than the champs, 2 of them have to go twice, and Casey's not going to go twice.
Yeah, of course it's Sarah and Kellyanne.
What surprised me was that Kellyanne went, and then Sarah went, and then they let Kellyanne go again and Sarah go again, and then have Casey go last.
I think Sarah went first, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like they let the Kellyanne and Sarah go twice instead of making Casey go third and then having them.
Well, yeah, because they didn't want to. I think it was a timed event, so they wanted to get as much of the stuff done. The reason I knew Sarah went first is because I was like, I wasn't a fan of Sarah back then. I've come around to her now, and I was like, I did appreciate her attitude on this. Like, no matter what the dailies are or whatever, like, she is just up for it. Like, the complete opposite of Casey in that regard. Like, she's just, hey, it's something new I get to experience that most people won't ever get to. It may scare me, but I'm going to try it.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, this is over the edge of a tower? No problem.
Here's the real question. Being that this is on top of a building, specifically 18 stories up.
Okay, I didn't remember
get
that.
Yeah. I knew it was tall.
We know who was really watching tonight.
You were in your own little mood.
But that mood had me focused and zoned in.
I was trying to eat a bowl of cereal, so...
Like a tiger.
Okay.
No, it wasn't Frosted Flakes. It was...
Tricks.
Yeah,
Fruity
Tricks.
Pebbles.
Tricks.
Would you, Zach, climb a wall 18 stories up and grab some flowers for Hannah?
No.
I wouldn't, because, one, I don't think flowers are that important, especially we saw half the people running down the ramp, broke them on the way down.
Well, I think they were running so fast that the wind kind of blew a lot of the little petals off, and they were very frail.
I will say there was a rope there that they kept smacking them on. Going back to your point, if it was in a competition setting and like she was on my team and like I knew I had to like let everyone, like we had to win our money or something.
In which case, it would not be for me.
Well, it would be if she was on my team.
It would be for the team.
I wouldn't just quit. I would do it.
Let's be honest. You are his team.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
No.
I would do it, or at least try. I think I could do that. I wouldn't like it.
You know what? She's right. That's not fair to say. You are his world.
I am.
Right? Amen?
I am all that there is.
Amen on 3?
Yeah. Well, amen on 3. That's going to be the episode title. But yeah, I feel like if you're in those situations, like, you got to at least try. Like, at least, I mean, she went up like 3 feet, but whatever.
Speaking of at least trying.
Yeah.
Well, before Sarah and Kellyanne even start, Casey's already on the sidelines crying. Evan has her like tied up against his chest, rocking.
Well, she's
her.
like wiping her eyes when TJ's explaining the thing.
Yeah.
Before she went, they kind of were interviewing her off to the side. I don't have a clue what she said.
Yes.
I have no. All I heard was $2,000.
Yeah.
Well, eventually she said, "It's not worth $2,000
That's
to
it.
me
That's
to do
all
it."
I got.
So, but here's what I said.
Well, her exact quote was $2,000, not worth it.
Yeah, but it's not worth $2,000. She has $2,000 currently. If they won today, she would be adding another $6,000 plus dollars.
So she would have almost $10,000.
Yeah, like that's a much more significant amount.
Yeah.
She wasn't thinking straight, but I don't think she's on this show to think.
Yeah. Well, she, when it's her turn, she slowly walks up to the ramp, and then before she gets to it, she just stops and then turns around and takes her gloves off.
She went like limp.
Yeah.
And just slid down like a worm.
It's as slow as possible.
Here's a question. Who had the most ridiculous performance?
Johnny.
Was it Casey here? There's my stomach again.
I didn't hear it.
I heard
didn't
it.
hear it.
Was it Casey here or Derek H. last season on that swinging ring thing?
Where he
no.
was just like
He's like a baby in a rocking chair.
It was like one of those swings that hang in the doorway where you put the baby in and they bounce.
And they just have their arms
but they don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I will say Casey's performance was worse because at least when Derek was swinging, he was looking around for the rings.
Looking at what?
He wasn't looking in the right direction, but he was looking around.
I will say at least he jumped off. I feel like she wouldn't have jumped.
He did it.
My only defense for Casey would be we expected a lot more out of him based on like he was like this D1 basketball player and all this stuff. And
that's the thing is like Casey kind of owned it. I mean, she owned it and was just like, I don't care.
Had
this
4
isn't
seasons
worth
of her
it.
at this point.
And Derek was like, come on, like what? You know, like,
he might have had one of the most disappointing seasons for someone that we were like, oh, he might be pretty good.
I was legitimately excited about him his rookie season.
We called out Danny for being the most overconfident challenger to ever appear on these.
I think Danny still gets it because he's been around. He was there for way longer.
Derek H. He can be in the conversation.
He always thinks that he's going to win it.
I forgot about that stupid scene because he's just floating around and
his arms are just out like he's trying to grab air or something. He never goes to like grab anything. His arms are just. His eyes
I think they were in the bottom, or if they weren't, it was very close that daily.
I just don't understand.
That's a good one.
Anyway, so when Casey quits, she starts taking her gloves off, and of course Sarah and Kellyanne, they ask her like, "What are you doing?" And then she screams out, "What does it look like I'm doing? I'm quitting. I'm not doing this." And then TJ interjects, and he's like, "Well, it looks like you're throwing a temper tantrum."
Yeah, he's not here for quitters.
No, especially. Childish ones
and
at
this has been 4 seasons with her, and he's seen her quit a number of times.
I think he's fed up with her. So she does that, and then the champs team has to go. Derek goes first.
Kills it.
He did fantastic.
He's kind of got that like he's kind of built like a monkey. Like he's just gonna scramble up things and get over it and come back down.
So so Johnny goes second, and he says, you know, the girls, they got 9 flowers. All we have to do is get less than that. Derek got all 3 of his, so that counted. They got 3. They just got to keep it under 9. So Johnny goes up, grabs all 3 flowers, and then tries to play it off by being, you know, overconfident or cocky or whatever, and puts all 3 flowers in his mouth, and then as soon as he takes the first step from that, spits them out to make it look like he lost
Well, he
them.
yells. He's like, I will say, it was a pathetic flop. It's essentially a flop. It's like like if you equate it to basketball, like he's flopping.
Shout out to Manu Ginobili.
Yeah, and Blake Griffin. And shout out to Paul because he's in Detroit.
And Chris Paul.
Good Lord. But anyway.
We could go down the line.
Ersan Ilyasova.
Yeah, that's a good reference. So he does that, and I will say everyone immediately knew, oh, he's throwing this because he'd been vocal about it. I will say I'll appreciate they show like Susie, she's talking to someone, and she's like, oh, he just freaking threw that or whatever. He's in the background pointing to Sarah and like acting like it like stabbed his lip and he got like a thorn in his lip and that's why he did it. And I was like, I appreciate he's still like playing it up right now. I was like, but everyone knows.
Anyway, so after Johnny's pathetic attempt, Kenny goes, and this is where he says, you know,
I'd rather have the money.
I'd rather have that $4,000 in my bank account. And so he doesn't throw it. And then it just leaves it all down to Evan. Does Evan get the other remaining flowers and win it for them, or does he drop them all and leave it at a tie?
Well, Johnny kept saying it's our plan to throw this, but no one else had really agreed to that. And they just kind of listened.
That's the thing. And Evan's thing was, why do we have to screw over the girl at the very end?
Because they had a reputation for that.
They did. Yeah. They had a very bad reputation of that. And I think Evan just felt really bad about it because he was pretty good friends with Susie.
Well, and it's in the aftermath of all the Sarah stuff, and I feel like he doesn't want to be known as that.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be associated with it that much. So
they win.
So he gets the last 3 flowers, and they win. And TJ does what Susie was hoping and praying he would do, and says that because they won and Susie's the only person going into elimination, she alone gets to choose who she goes against.
Yeah.
And she picks Casey, of course.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not much of a gambler, so I'm going with as much of the sure thing as possible. She's like, no offense.
And so after this is when I just really got super annoyed with Johnny, because he's going off on this big rant about how Susie has slacked off this whole entire challenge since they first got here, and she's just been riding coattails to the final, and he thinks that she's going to throw the final challenge and lose all this money for them because she's still going to get $31,000. But what's funny is Kenny actually came out and said that he was concerned about Johnny.
Well, like, it's dumb that was Johnny's standpoint, because at this point, Susie had already done, I think, 2 eliminations and won.
And she
Johnny,
did really well in the dailies.
Johnny had only done 1 at this point.
Because he was forced to. He tried to get out of it, too.
And so, like, again, I never felt like she was, like, holding their team back or anything.
No.
Like, again, she was the only girl that lasted on their team this long.
I mean, if they looked at how much money she had, that just proves how she didn't slack off this challenge.
Yeah.
She went in and put in work.
I mean, again, that's what was so weird about it only coming up in the 9th episode of this season, and then it carries through the last 2. I think they, maybe when they were editing this season, they're like, oh, Susie, spoiler for the next episode we're going to talk about in 10 minutes, Susie finishes the final puzzle after struggling the whole time, and they win, and Johnny kind of turns full circle. And I'm wondering if they were like, really need to play up that angle to make it a better cohesive story at the end, because it was just weird. It came out of nowhere. I mean, clearly he talked about it a lot, but yeah, it comes down to Susie versus Casey. We all know what's going to happen.
This elimination, I mean, it's been a while since we watched this season. And so I forgot what this elimination was.
It's called Muay Thai.
It's basically like little bamboo sticks that you have to kick to
They're not
knock
little.
off.
I mean, they're like 4 inches.
Well, what was so funny was as soon as they showed it and had Susie and Casey come down, TJ explained kind of how the elimination was going to go. And Casey's whole demeanor changed. Her mouth was gaping open. She was so excited because she thought that she was going to win this. And she even came out and said, I think I have a really good chance at this elimination. I think I've got a pretty good shot.
Do you remember why she said that, though?
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
That's right.
Because she watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer and practiced these moves.
And, yeah, you know what? Hold on a second. I just want to give a quick hand clap to Confident Casey over
I think
here.
you're going to give a shout out to Sarah Michelle Gellar, because I'm on board with that.
Sarah Michelle Gellar. Yeah. Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Confident Casey.
No.
Mama Kim.
Yeah, Mama Kim. Yes.
Oh, Mama Kim's gone.
She was in this episode.
She was, but she went home.
Gone too soon, but forever in our hearts.
She's not dead.
I will say one thing I made a note about Muay Thai. I really appreciated this season. We didn't have any repeat eliminations.
Yes.
It was new every single time. Now, it was only a 10-episode season.
But they were still pretty good eliminations, even though they were each something different.
I just liked that it wasn't like, oh, we're doing the same thing where you got to turn the water and make the fire go out. Like, I'm glad it was something different every time, so no one had an advantage.
So Casey gets excited about the assimilation. She thinks she has a chance at beating Susie.
The assimilation.
This elimination.
And it's assimilation.
Anyway, so they begin, and Susie just starts knocking it out.
I think they started on opposite ends and were going towards each other.
That's what I thought, but about halfway through for Susie, they cut to Casey, and she's still like maybe a fourth of the way through, and she's stuck on this one stick of bamboo, and she kicked it like 6 times, and it still didn't break. But it cut back to Susie, and she's like, I looked over it, and I don't see Casey anywhere.
Well, and I think that, like, I don't know, they kept flipping the camera. Like, you're not supposed to do that in just a rule of television. You're not supposed to break the 180-degree line without establishing that. And so
that's what confused me.
Yeah, you like
look at you, camera whiz.
Well,
I went to school for it,
man.
I learned some things.
The first half of Susie's go through, I thought that they were on opposite ends. But then when Susie said she looked over and didn't see Casey anywhere.
I know. It was very disorienting, like,
it
the way
made me
they
think,
filmed it.
Well, maybe.
Because it looked like maybe they started head-to-head, and then when she said that, I was like, well, maybe they're at opposite ends. And I was like, well, I don't know. Because, at one point we see Susie kicking stuff, and I looked on the other side, and Susie's going basically right to left.
Yeah.
And I look on the other side, and all of those are still intact. So that means Casey hasn't gone through that way. And so I'm like, Casey has to be coming from our perspective left to right at that point. But then the camera switched, and it got real confusing.
See, that is what originally made me think they started on opposite ends until Susie said
together, MTV.
Until Susie said that she looked over and didn't see Casey. Then I thought, oh well, maybe they did start at the same end, and she just flew by her.
Well, where you guys were real distraught over this camera stuff, I've just typed down. I don't know why she didn't
type down.
I did. I don't know why she just didn't try to Haruken. Did you ever play Street Fighter?
She didn't say she was a Street Fighter fan though.
Yeah.
Did Buffy yell anything when she kicked?
No, but after I typed that, I think that's actually an uppercut. So it was Ryu, right, or Ken, one of them, maybe both of them. They go Haruken. You remember that?
I think it was a punch.
I think it's an uppercut.
Yeah.
Well, you can't use your hands on this elimination. It's feet only.
That would have been useless for her.
Regardless,
Susie runs away. No one expected anything different.
We all knew that Susie was going to win by a long shot.
But if you ask Casey, it's baby steps for her, right?
Listen, Casey was so proud of herself for this, and she kept saying how she loved her time here and that this was a great experience. And then they show all the flashbacks and it was like awful stuff.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Everyone else, like, it kind of shows like, hey, they overcame this. I was like, Casey's is just a blooper reel.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a highlight footage at all.
There were no good things that she did. And so, and then she says, I can't wait to come back. I'd love to come back and do another challenge. And I'm like, well, that's the thing. It's called the challenge, and you weren't challenged to do anything.
So,
one thing that got me while she was saying this, I will pay money.
No, we won't.
I will pay money.
That's my money too.
To know who told Casey that she really impresses them.
Her mom.
She impressed me tonight.
No, she said that there were people there that told her, Casey, you really impress me.
It's probably Johnny and Kenny. Like, you're doing great. Keep it up.
Well, she took that to heart, thinking she's great.
Hey,
I take things to heart,
hey,
pretty easily.
So I will. At this point, Casey's gone. Susie's basically guaranteed almost $40,000, regardless of what happens.
If she wins or not.
Yeah. And so the rest of their team's not sitting on that much money. So that's where the whole thing comes in. We might need to treat Susie well to make sure she doesn't just quit on us.
That's what Evan said. He said we need to be massaging her feet and pampering her.
I will say Derek was like, I'm not doing that. He's like, you and whoever can do it.
Evan also said to start off episode 10, it's a lot more fun to do it than take it.
What's he talking about?
God only knows.
So yeah, the beginning of episode 10, we're gonna skip like the first 10 or 15 minutes because
it was so.
I was at one point
long.
I was like, I cannot believe we've been sitting here and they haven't even started the final yet.
Well, you got up and checked the timer and then you went.
I did not do that. I did get up. I walked across the room. I paused the computer and I was like, how long has it been? And we haven't even started like TJ explaining the final. I was like, this is a 45-minute episode after commercials.
Well,
42.
I did have just like
before commercials.
One little note before they actually get into the final.
Where'd all their mattresses go? That was my only note.
Well, that I was going to write that until you said that out loud, and I was like, well, I know he's going to ask that.
He said a lot of things out loud.
He did.
You didn't say a word the whole time.
My question or thing was, for a rookie, Sarah did great this season. I mean, she did really well this season.
And it translated for
it
years.
To be her first season, and she went into how many eliminations and led how many daily challenges. She did multiple.
Did she do any eliminations?
Yes.
Katie. She sent Katie home.
She took out Katie.
She took Katie on the swinging thing. That's right. Because
this Katie was like screaming at her and flipping her off in the middle of it. And then Kim was like, this is classless.
Mama Kim.
Ain't right.
Not in this episode.
Typical response.
Again, might not be alive. We can't confirm or deny it.
Well,
No, anyway, what I was trying to say
I really
is,
hope she's still alive, just FYI.
Yes.
yeah, we believe for it.
what I was trying to say is, especially for a rookie, Sarah did amazing this season, but
Where'd all the mattresses go? That's what we're really worried about.
what held her back this season, and I think what kept her from doing as well as she could have, is that she was not emotionally strong enough for this.
Well, Zach would say she was emo.
I would not say that.
Kenny called her goth.
So
Kenny called her a lot of things.
We get a lot more Kenny bullying stuff. We've said what we need to say.
We get Kenny stuff. We get more Johnny worried about Susie.
Yeah.
That's all.
While you guys noticed the mattress is missing and applauding Sarah, why haven't we talked about Johnny's Kangol hat yet?
Is it Kangol?
Is that not what it is?
That sounds like a Mortal Kombat
I
villain.
thought it was a golfer hat.
No, I think it is something like Kangol or Kangal. It may be
It's not a
Kangol.
gallbladder.
I don't know. No, what
I know
I
what you're talking
what I
about,
was
though.
just saying was Sarah did great, but
Kangol.
she did
Is it?
not
Okay.
have the emotional and mental strength that you need to go on here, especially when people like Johnny and Kenny are going to be on this season with you.
Well, I want to talk about. I paused the computer and it had been 11 minutes, and we had not even started the final yet.
Stop
and we
hitting
only had
my dining table.
we had 30 minutes left of footage, and it hasn't even started yet. I think it was around probably 14 minutes or so in before they got to the starting line of the final.
That's right.
Which is insane to think of how long they stretched out seasons now. Like, they're on episode 10. It's the final episode of the season, not counting the reunion and the stuff they shouldn't have shown because we're a PG podcast. And they hadn't even shown anything yet. And I was like, I don't care about Susie and Johnny fighting. I get it's going to lead up
yeah,
to
'cause
whatever.
we already watched it.
I don't care about Kenny making fun of Sarah. We already watched that last episode. Like, let's just get into it. And then they finally did. Just quick note, Kellyanne's only final. Never even made it to another one.
This is her last season,
And-
right?
No, she did a few. No, she was on Battle of the Bloodlines and
Oh,
stuff.
that's right.
She did Rivals 3 and
I
Battle of the
forgot about
Bloodlines.
that.
Weird Body Jamie.
That's it. Yeah.
Weird Body Jamie was not her bloodline, though. That was Kara's cousin.
Oh, that's right. She had a thing with Weird Body Jamie.
No, that was
Or was that her
Smashley.
rival?
Good God.
There's some connection there, is there not?
Yeah.
Smashley was the one that had a thing for Weird Body Jamie because, like, one of the first nights they were having sex in the bathroom and everybody caught him.
You can say sex.
Kellyanne's
That's
cousin was a very like wallpapery guy. Like, he just blended into the background. I'll pull up a picture of him.
There's a
We should go back and watch that season.
There's a Kellyanne Jamie connection
Let
somewhere.
me look that up because it's again all these seasons run together.
Yeah. Anyway, so TJ gets everybody ready for the final, and before they start, what I thought was something you don't really see these days is Susie led a prayer circle before the final.
Which is where Susie's she's got a PhD in religious studies. Like, she's got a background in whatever.
Was she doing that at this point?
I don't know. She may have been raised that way, but I will say, like,
It was very surprising.
What is she, Catholic, Presbyterian, Lutheran?
I don't know.
It could be
Non-denominational?
a lot of things.
you know, we want to interview her and Sarah, and if you guys want to reach out to them and say, hey, you should come on the show, that'd be great. Just wink, wink, wink.
Nah, you guys don't love us that
And
much.
you can also mention how much I love Sarah.
and so she does that. At the end of it, Evan's like, I don't care. We need to pray to Buddha. He said pray to Thailand at one point.
Yeah, he did.
The reason this episode's going to be named Amen on 3 is because she gets to the end, and Johnny does not know how to end a prayer. And he's like, all right, amen on 3. And he's like, 1, 2, 3, amen. And then if they kind of cut the audio, but they leave the camera there. And you can see Susie and Derek, I think, or maybe Susie and Evan, were just like shaking their heads and kind of laughing. They're like, that is not how this goes. And it's not like a cheer right before we go out.
Which is, it's so funny because Johnny, I don't know if he had him at this point, but I know now, like in the last couple of years, he's got like Bible scriptures tattooed on his body.
But so does Hunter. Like, Hunter's from, by the way, shout out to some guy that's from Florida. Hunter's not from Georgia, and we've been saying that this whole time.
What?
Hunter's from Florida.
You've been saying it. I've been following your lead.
he was like, you guys know he's not from Georgia, right?
Of course he's from Florida.
Yeah, and I sent him a gif of Job from Arrested Development. He's like, I made a huge, tiny mistake.
Florida, is that the homeland of Florida?
No,
no, it's the homeland
he's
of
from New
alligators and crazy people.
and meth.
Yeah. There's
Hey.
a lot of meth here, though.
So I'm not a fan of this final. I'll just say that.
So
It was interesting.
I'll say
to
I
say
actually
the least.
didn't mind it. It seemed easy compared to some other ones. Just what we're used to
but
now.
it was not anything like that awful final.
Invasion of the Champions. Terrible.
Invasion of the Champs was the worst final I've ever seen in my whole life. I did like that this final immediately started off with an eating challenge.
I figured it out.
What's the connection?
Rivals 3.
I told you they were
Yeah.
rivals.
I don't remember them getting into it on Bloodlines, though. That had to have been where it started.
Let's go back and watch it.
I don't want to.
Okay, cool. So they start out with an eating challenge. That's the first thing they do. That's a good way to start off a challenge, by running quite a bit and then
Weird body,
eating really
Jamie.
gross stuff.
God, dog, what is wrong with him?
I showed Jake a picture. Why?
I know what he looks like. So what did they start off with eating?
Bizarre buffet.
I know they had durian.
That durian, which is the smelliest like natural food in the world. Apparently,
It is banned in some places, even the countries that it is naturally produced. I know. I can't remember if they grow it in the Philippines or.
It's from that region.
Yeah. I think from what I've heard, in the Philippines, this is from my Filipino friends. What I've heard is there are certain regions that will grow it, but there is like a certain radius.
That's Kellyanne's cousin.
Because that guy.
That's what I'm saying. You don't remember him.
I've never seen that guy in my life.
You're both liars because you've both watched Battle of the
I didn't say I
Bloodlines.
hadn't seen him. Said who that guy.
Anthony Cuomo. He was Kellyanne's cousin.
Any relation to Kaylee Cuoco?
Yeah, probably. That's how that works.
Yep. It sounds similar. They must be cousins. No, with durian, where it's grown, you can't live within a certain radius of the forest.
It's like
of
a
it.
paper mill.
It is. It's much like a
I don't know
paper
if that's
mill.
just a regional thing that we're going to know. Like, I don't know if places have paper mills around them, but the paper mill smells disgusting.
It smells like hot diarrhea, which durian also smells like hot diarrhea.
I've never smelled durian. I don't know.
It's not good, but it is an Asian delicacy.
So they eat that. They eat what looks to be bugs, like a bunch of bugs and stuff. They have to finish it. Everyone on their team has to finish before they can leave.
They did not eat Bug Hall, though.
Well,
he would.
good. He's too famous.
He's a delicacy.
He's like G-list celebrity. He was in.
Come on, did you watch
He was
Little
Alfalfa.
Rascals?
He was Alfalfa and Little Rascals, and
everybody knows who
he
that
was
is.
in some detective movie.
Honey,
with
we
Lindsay
shrunk
Lohan.
ourselves.
That's right.
So anyway, what happens is they have to finish all 5 plates, and you have Kellyanne and Sarah who have to finish eating everything just themselves.
Well, to be fair, each
had
person,
less.
No, each person has their own plate.
Yeah,
So each person's responsible for their own plate.
right. So they're not waiting on as many people.
It's the same amount per person. You just
Yeah,
have
but
to-
they're not. They have less people that they have to wait on. So Susie, you would think she has the upper hand here because she's got.
A religious
What?
background.
Well, yes, but she's got 4 grown men that should be able to just down this.
At this point, growing is debatable.
Well, big men that should be able to just down this and get it over with, which I think Derek did an okay job with.
I think Derek struggled the most. He was the last one.
Yeah, but Evan was the one that kept having to stop to throw up.
I think Derek was the last one to say, "Am I good?" And then they're like, "You can leave."
Did you notice Kenny's whole body would tremble when he was about to throw up?
I didn't notice him trembling. I just kept looking at Evan.
Like, he kept like jittering.
They did keep cutting to Evan, like bending over and going, "Whoa."
Yeah, I saw a lot of Evan.
And it's weird now. Like Johnny's like, "I can't eat these bugs. I never eat." And like now he's like eating who knows what. Because again,
Yeah.
this was early on and everything.
Yeah.
So I wrote Sarah.
The girls finish
Sarah and
first.
Kellyanne kill it. They take off.
I wish this was the point because later on when they're walking across the poles, Johnny says, "Just watch me, all right." I wish he would have done it here, eating the food.
Yeah.
Just watch me, all right.
Well, they I think at this point when not the guys team but the champs.
It is mostly the guys'
get
team.
done.
The guys' team and Susie.
Evan said in his confessional, I don't know how true it is because we couldn't see. He said they're a good half mile behind.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty significant amount.
Well, I think because they had just started out in the final, Sarah and Kellyanne had a little bit more gas in their tank, and so they ran a little bit faster.
Well, and they're hyped. They're like, hey, we're ahead.
They did not expect to be ahead.
So the next thing they get to is the junction, which is where there's 4 arrows, like in 4 different paths. You can complete them in any order. You don't have to go like to station 2 and then station 3. It's just finishing.
Sarah called it a choose your own path adventure.
Basically, yeah. And so they immediately run to a jigsaw puzzle, which right up Sarah's alley.
Yeah.
And so they started out. It just so happens the champs follow the same path, and
before that, they head to the junction, and then they split up.
They get lost. Yeah,
they get lost. They go towards the jungle, and then after a while, they turn around and go back down the path, and then they go back down the jungle. They ran and then turned around and ran several times, which gave the girls plenty of time to finish the puzzle.
And this is when Susie started gassing out.
Yes, because they did so much unnecessary running.
And so they go. At this point, they're probably 2/3 of the way done with the puzzle. Kellyanne and Sarah are, and so then the champs starting to put it together. But then everyone's trying to talk over each other. Susie just hangs back.
They struggle.
She's like, "I'm going to let them do whatever they want."
Well, she didn't want to anger them.
Yeah, and so they ask her to put her foot against something to hold it in place, and Sarah and Kellyanne kill it. They leave. They were smart. They broke off their puzzle before they left, so they couldn't cheat. Because at one point, Evan just walked over and looked at it, and so
you got to think like, why they're doing so well, right? You got to, and even Sarah pointed out before they started the final that they work well together. Sarah likes to lead, Kellyanne likes to follow and listen, and you got to think about all the crazy personalities you got on the challengers team. Loud, obnoxious.
Everyone thinks they're right.
Right. Yeah. And so it's no surprise to me they took the lead they did.
Yeah. I agree. It made me flash back to whatever season that was with Camilla, where she just couldn't work with anyone. Most seasons with Camilla, honestly. But
I think just Camilla in general.
In stressful situations, there are certain people who cannot handle it and don't know how to delegate and also don't know how to be a part of a team. And
again, another Sarah praise. She was cool, calm, and collected the whole entire time. And there were several instances where you could hear her as they were running or as they were working on things. She would continually encourage Kellyanne, saying, come on, keep it up. You're doing great. You're doing amazing. We've got this. We're going to be good. We're going to win this. And I think just her personality, she's super positive while still being super competitive. And I think that's what helped drive Kellyanne.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is Kellyanne's only final. She's never made it and still never made it any further than this. And so the weird thing is everyone was like really afraid of Kellyanne, and this was the best she's ever done.
She was called a fembot on two occasions. Yeah. So they get to the mud crawl.
Well, but before they get to the mud crawl, they meet at the little the junction,
the relic thing.
Yeah, and at this point, the girls are a whole thing ahead.
Yeah.
Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
At this point, or is it the next one?
Because they got to the mud crawl before. They finished the mud crawl before the champs even got to it.
Yeah, they finished it before they finished their jigsaw puzzle, and so they get back, and it's when the challengers are depositing number 3, the champs are depositing number 2, and they're a whole relic ahead.
And that stressed out Evan.
Yeah, and so that's when they both end up going to the bamboo poles.
The beams.
Yeah, and I missed the official name for that, but I just wrote bamboo poles. And
well, you know what it is.
It's super long. It's way longer than what I remembered.
It seems like it wouldn't be that hard until you realize if one person on your team falls off, everybody on the team has to get off and start back over at the beginning.
And again, like you had Evan out in the lead, he's probably
clumsy.
6 foot, 200 plus pounds, and what happens is he steps just kind of weird, and they kind of bow on him, falls off, they got to start all over.
And that's what sucks about having a bigger team on this. You have more people to mess up.
That's the one thing I did appreciate about this final was that like it wasn't dependent on how strong or how many numbers you had on your team. It's just dependent on everyone finishing, and so like it was a fair final.
Yeah.
Even though they only had 2 people on their team, they still had a legit chance to win. It wasn't like it was stacked against them because they had 3 less people.
Yeah. This section of the final is what surprised me most about Kellyanne.
The bamboo poles?
Because she apparently does not have good balance. And she said so herself. She doesn't do well with balance. But I thought she was a big yoga person.
Well, that may have kind of kicked in after all this. I don't know.
Maybe. But she...
And maybe because of this, she started doing all that.
It may be because she fell off a couple of times.
Bamboo poles will do that to you.
What was Evan's quote?
Bamboo poles will do that to you.
No, it's on up.
Oh, did he say? Oh, it's a lot more fun to do it than to take it.
He's talking about bamboo poles.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so Kellyanne falls off a couple of times, and it didn't seem to face Sarah. She seemed to keep her cool and just say, you know what, that's okay. We'll just start back over. We'll do well. We'll get it. We'll make it this time. But once they make it all the way across, they have to grab the relic and then make it all the way back. And that's when Sarah starts to feel a little bit of pressure because she goes first and Kellyanne is so afraid of falling off that she moves
slow.
She moves slower than paint dries.
Yeah, this was the section that the champs made up all their time. Not all of it, but the majority of it.
Yeah.
Because they were gone. And so they clearly win. No one falls off on the way back. They take their time. But when Evan fell off the first time, that's when Johnny's like, "Let me take the lead."
Yeah.
And to his credit, they didn't fall off again.
Yeah.
But they take off. They then go to the mud pit, which is where they have to make up the time.
And they get through the mud pit, grab the relic, get back through the mud pit before Kellyanne gets off the beams.
Yeah, well, at least that was the way it was edited, but it seemed that way for sure. I will say it was smart of them. I don't know if you guys noticed. On the crawl back at least, they were as far to the right if we're facing them.
Instead of going down the middle.
Instead of going down the middle where it's sloshier and muddier and where
Deeper.
it can like coagulate a little bit more. They go to where it's probably the shallowest and the least muddy, and it's still within the rules. But it was smart of them, whoever's idea that was. They didn't say it, but they did that.
Susie.
They pull Susie up through. They've been carrying her, which that's got to be tough to carry another.
Well, I think it was Evan and Kenny that were carrying her, and they just threw her like a rag doll over their shoulders, and they were running.
Yeah, and it was one at a time carrying them. It wasn't like it was a team effort until the end.
But I mean,
we've seen it happen. I mean,
but also you have to think how small Susie is.
Still, that's like another 120 pounds.
I wouldn't say she was that.
I don't know
big.
how tall she is.
I would
also,
not say she's
I'm
that big.
not good at guessing that weight.
Not much of a weight guesser you are, huh?
How much does Jake weigh?
How much do I weigh? I've lost a lot of weight.
You know, he's probably hovering around like 40 kilograms.
How much do I weigh?
Like 80 kilograms. I don't know.
You got it right.
I don't know how.
I'm 40 kilograms heavier than you are, Jake. It's all this muscle.
No.
Also, I'm
that's
like
not
6 feet
right.
taller than you.
All right.
So
The girl that backed it up on me at the club on New Year's Eve was, that's for sure.
Gross.
Did we talk about that on here?
Gross.
No one's gonna know what that is.
No, but that
Gross.
happened.
Okay.
Gross.
First club experience, by the way. I will say that.
Gross.
That was a wild one.
So Kellyanne completely blew every lead, every second that they had ahead of the champs. And I think because Sarah knew that she was moving too slowly, and she was literally just standing there watching her inch closer and closer to the end.
To be fair, Sarah wasn't going super fast either.
No, but she stood there and waited for a while. And I think Sarah was, maybe to her fault, she was a little afraid to try to encourage Kellyanne to move a little bit more quickly. And I think that was to their detriment.
The other side of that is if you push Kellyanne to hurry and she falls off, you have to start at least. I don't think you have to do the whole thing over again. You have to start that leg over again.
Yeah.
And it's really long. Like it was, maybe like 80 yards, something like that. Like it zigzagged for a while.
It was a long time. That's sure.
I may have completely overestimated how long that was.
How many yards are in a yard?
How many yards are in a yard?
Yep.
It'd be one.
Okay, so the very last section in this final is a math puzzle. And so for the challengers team, Kellyanne's out.
Well, they arrived basically exactly the same time.
So Kellyanne is out, and it's just on Sarah. For the champs team, Evan's out. Derek is for sure out. and so was Johnny, and so it's just on.
No, Kenny. Johnny's better at puzzles than Kenny.
But they had Johnny sit it out too.
No, what Evan said was he
said that it was him and Susie.
He said Kenny's useless, and then he said Derek's even more useless. And then I think he said something about Johnny, but
Johnny's throwing up on the side.
that's what it was.
Yep.
Johnny's not bad at puzzles. He just was throwing up, and so it was basically Susie. Susie was the anchor on the side. Not the anchor. That's wrong.
Well,
she didn't slow him down.
No, she was
the
accelerator.
The gold star.
No, for the puzzle, it was Sarah versus Evan and Susie. Susie doing most of it, but Evan was still doing it.
Derek was just doing the manual labor.
Yeah.
He sure wasn't taking it.
Derek was funny because he said, he's like, I don't really do puzzles, but just have me do all the donkey work.
Yeah, he still said, I still don't know what we were trying to accomplish, but
I don't either.
it was you had to jump 2 and then end up with 5 stacks, but you had to jump 2 each time.
You went to college, so
and we took a whole class on puzzle learning.
yeah, I didn't.
On challenge puzzle learning.
I did watch a lot of the challenge in college.
Yep. So Sarah just absolutely struggles with this puzzle, which is very uncharacteristic of her. But
it was hers to win.
Yeah,
she lost it.
But for Susie to kind of shut up Johnny, she figures out the puzzle, gets it taken care of, and then they are just running to the finish line.
They finished, I think, at again, there's a 30-minute time limit, and if after 30 minutes you weren't done, you had to carry a block each.
Yeah, and they were heavy.
Yeah, and so I know
you had to carry it to the junction, not to the finish line.
I know at 25 minutes in, they both were still there, but then that's when Susie figured it out, and so they got to leave. They didn't have to carry anything. Although, Johnny takes off way ahead of everybody. Derek, Kenny, and Evan make a 3-team, 3-person basically like chariot, and they're carrying Susie on their shoulders because they know they're in the lead. They got to get out of there.
And Susie's exhausted.
Yeah, and she had pulled.
And she made that happen.
If that was on Kenny and Derek to figure that thing out, they'd still been there. But it would have just come down to a leg race at that point of who could carry the stuff, and
which probably would have been still Kenny.
I don't know, because again, you'd have to have Susie plus another block. So you'd have to have someone carrying Susie and then someone carrying 2 blocks. And
Derek would do it.
So, yeah, it basically, that's where they pulled it out. And even Johnny was like, Susie pulled it through. She did all this. And that made a good, arc for this story. Because I was like, man, they're showing a lot of this. Johnny does not trust Susie.
Well, it sucked that it was at the very end of this final that happened, because he even said, once she did that, I knew that she was really in it. But it was the end.
Well, so they're basically done. The only thing is, on the run back to the Ruins Arena, which I don't remember what it was called. It may have just been called the Ruins. They're running through the jungle, and then there's this one set of pyramid walls. Just one, and it's 4 feet wide. And it's we need to put something here just so they're not just running the last time. And I was like, that's just a really obscure thing that came out of nowhere. And it's not like they had 8 of them they had to get over. It was just it was just one. Unless they edited it all out. I don't know. It seemed like it came out of left field also. Like the Johnny and Susie arguments. So obviously the champs win. They get to the ruins. They put the gold piece on the nose. And then
it pops off the thing, and their check is revealed behind the stone wall.
Which doesn't seem like a lot of money these days. I mean, it's still it's
$160,000
for 10 episodes worth of work. It's a good paycheck still, but
what I really appreciated was that TJ was congratulating the champs, and then he said Susie was the real winner because they kept throwing her into elimination, and she still won the final.
And she went out on top. This is her last season. Mm-hmm. I don't think she's one of those that's going to come back for a vet champs, or not champs versus stars, but a OGs versus new school or whatever, if they ever do that.
Yeah.
I feel like she's kind of put that in her rear view.
Well, I mean, it's a good note to end on. Still undefeated in eliminations.
That's true.
Won her last final.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good note and a good chapter to close.
She went out on top. I mean, that's the only way to put it.
It was a good ending for her.
It again, we get one more season of Kenny and Evan, and then they're out. And then Johnny obviously becomes what Johnny becomes. And Derek's kind of in and out the next few years. Comes back for Dirty 30.
Yep.
And then he hasn't been back since. So,
Except as
other than the elimination mercenary, yeah. But yeah, The Ruins is a fun season. Like,
it was good. I enjoyed it. Even watching it like for a second time within 6 months.
Yeah, we watch it towards the beginning of this podcast, and so again, it just sucks MTV pulled it in the middle of our show. Not like they had any.
I really wonder if they
us.
did it on purpose.
I don't think MTV pays attention to us. It'd be nice if they did.
I think Paulie pays attention to us.
I hope he does.
What
a treat that would be.
So
I don't know that I'd call it a treat.
We can't get into it yet, but we have had other challengers that have that we would have never thought listened to us that have emailed us like, "Hey, really like your show." And we're like, "Oh, wow."
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Paulie might be listening.
Shane was one of those. He was listening before we interviewed him.
I love
He
Shane.
called us his go-to challenge. He said this is the first one he listens to.
I wonder if he's still like that.
He's been laying low, like ever since Final
Yeah.
Reckoning. Like I think he's just kind of like living his life.
Good for him. I want nothing but good things for
He's not
Shane.
as active on social media. We need to reach out to him.
Yeah,
I
just
miss
see how
him.
he's doing.
I miss his presence.
And his laser helmet.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of people hate Shane. He was great to talk with.
Yeah, definitely.
He knows his role on the show. He knows what he is, and he leans into it.
It's almost like he plays a character while he's on the show.
But
he can turn it off when he's not on the show.
Yeah.
He can live a normal life in the real world.
The blatant disrespect here, Paulie, is
absolutely
unbelievable.
I'm not even trying to mask it.
You know, there was a whole Challenge Mania episode that they recorded and then decided not to run with him. Because they're like,
because he's made for TV, not podcast.
Not a good.
Come on, guys.
Not a good look.
Come on.
Let's because he had said they what's his name, Scott and Derek, like, well, at least he didn't cheat on her. You may not think whatever, and then all the stuff came out that he had cheated on him, and they're like, we're not going to run this one.
Yeah.
Fun times.
It's your guy.
He's not my guy.
It's your guy.
Yeah, he's
Oh my God,
he's your guy. He's your guy.
Real recognize real.
Let's get into it. Last two episodes.
He's the opposite of real.
Superlatives for the last two episodes. Who smashed heads?
Susie.
Clearly.
She smashed everybody's heads. Won in all the eliminations she did. She smashed Kim's head several times when she sat.
Hold on, Mama Kim.
Don't you disrespect
Don't you dare.
When she sat on her head, like they were pulling on the rope, and she got on top of her and smashed her with her butt.
Whose head?
She didn't follow. I have a revelation now. So
Her revolution.
no, it's a revelation.
Okay.
I don't know why it took me so long. If she's Mama Kim, then it's got to be Papa Dunbar.
Or Daddy Dunbar.
Daddy Dunbar. I was just going Mama and Papa. Because which one? Daddy Dunbar is more illiterate. That makes more sense.
More
Because
illiterate?
illiterate. And
With an A.
Yeah. And so
More alliterate.
no one says that.
Well, that's how you know which one you're using.
It is
Assimilation.
Yeah. Remember, they hooked up in this season.
They sure did.
That was my revelation.
Daddy Dunbar and Mama
they
Kim.
They both got eliminated in the same night.
Do you think they did it?
They were doing something in that bathroom.
I think they were trying to, like they were about to when
What was
everybody
Evan's
walks
quote?
in.
What was Evan's quote?
It's a lot more fun to do it than it is to take it.
Was he talking about Mama Kim?
I thought he was talking about the bamboo poles.
That quote applies to everything.
It does apply to a lot of things.
So yeah, so that's fine. I agree with that one. What's yours?
Sarah.
Okay.
Considering all I knew Hannah would like that one. Considering all the crap she took, the bullying, this girl came through and continuously performed.
I'm gonna clap the whole time.
That's all I have to say.
Okay, I'm done. She's
Johnny,
so great.
just kidding. It's not Johnny.
No,
It's
no.
Mine's Sarah because undefeated. She went out on top. She solved the final jigsaw puzzle that made them get the lead to where they didn't have to carry the blocks. Whatever. It's Susie. It is what it is. I would say you could almost say she's she smashed heads for the season if you're doing an overall encompassing thing. But we're not going to do that because we don't have time to think back through it.
Mine, I didn't want to say Susie because it was the final that she won. I used it as more like they kept throwing her into elimination and she kept winning.
Well, this is only the last 2 episodes.
I know. They still like kept throwing her into elimination and she kept winning. And then she solved that last puzzle for them when Johnny, like, specifically it was Susie smashed Johnny's head because he kept saying she skated through this challenge and she slacked off and didn't do anything.
We know from this past week's episode, if you haven't listened to episode 32, which was War of the Worlds recap, challengers do not like being said that they skated by on anything. That's where Cara's whole thing about our good friend Alan came from. Don't appreciate it.
No.
So, what's yours?
Who got their head smashed?
Yeah.
Confident Casey. We got Killer Cam.
Oh yeah, mine was Casey always.
There's a Confident Casey too that got crushed.
Did you not say yours already?
No, she didn't.
Oh, I thought you did.
No.
Yeah, so, yeah, Casey was the obvious choice. We had a blooper reel for her highlight of the show.
But I specifically said Confident Casey.
I think she might have looked at those and been like, killing those dailies.
Oh, I absolutely think when she saw that, she was super proud of herself.
She's like, I am this show. This is not a good show without me.
Also, honorable mention to Mama Kim because we can't confirm whether she's dead or alive.
That is true. If someone
I'm gonna
if someone is listening, can you please confirm to us?
For God's sakes, please tell me she's alive.
And I want to be very clear because things get misconstrued. We are not hoping that she's...
No!
We just don't know for sure. There's a few challengers out there who just disappear after they're done with the show.
What is her last name?
That's what I'm trying to look up.
It's Kim. Her first name's Mama.
You're right. Did you find it?
I
can find it. I was on the ruins thing earlier.
Look, I have it already.
So,
Good Lord.
my person who got their head smashed, it's a personal one for me. It's Kenny. Because going back and watching these seasons, I was always a real big fan of Kenny.
Alexander.
Kim Alexander.
Kimberly.
It's a good mom last name.
Kimberly.
Good last name for a mom.
If you go back and watch these seasons, we always liked Kenny. I think in our first episode, we all talked about Kenny. We liked him. He had some seasons where he was kind of a jerk, but for the most part, he just kind of played, oh, I'm real cocky and I'm funny and I'm the talker. Like I think at one point, Jake, you said he's the best talker on the show.
History.
The Island and the Ruins back to back are not a good look.
No.
For him or Johnny. And I would hope that based on what Johnny said today, they both know that. I think they do at this point. They're both 10 years older. This season in particular ended on a sour note for Kenny. Like, again, it just... The last 2 episodes, they really laid into the whole Kenny making fun of Sarah thing. And justifiably, like, it should have been shown what he did. Like, they shouldn't have hid that or anything. So that's one for me because, again, shout out to our friend Chico. He tweeted at us that he was like, I watched Through the Ruins, and I'd forgotten how mean Kenny was. Like, he was straight up the devil. I hated him. And Kenny liked that tweet like a week later.
Yeah.
Kim is alive.
Thank God.
As of January 3rd, that was her last Instagram post.
Well, guys, we got 6 weeks worth of stuff we don't know about.
Okay, well, she's got 2 sons.
You know,
I think. No, 1 son.
Oh, no. What happened to the other one?
No.
There's the dad
She
Dunbar.
didn't have him.
Is it Dunbar? No, he's
Is
not.
he the father?
He's not. He's doing like visual effects or like makeup artist or something like that. I don't know.
No, she's married to some really tall, handsome man.
Well, at least we can confirm that not only is she alive, but she is also a mom, legitimately.
She's a boy mom.
Mama Kim.
She's a boy mom?
She's a boy mom.
Mama
I mean, she
Kim.
has a boy.
You
Hey,
thought
man.
too. So yeah, anyway, Kenny was mine. Again, not a great look for this season. I still do like him. I'm gonna go out there. I don't agree with his behavior on this season.
Hey,
She looks totally different.
looks like a mom.
Let me see.
No, I mean, she doesn't even look the same in the face.
She looks like a mom. It's the hair.
I'm not gonna say what I thought.
God.
She looks different. And I'm glad.
That's what
I
happened.
knocked my big bottle of water over, but luckily I had the cap on. So yeah, if you like these ruins, I'm surprised by the amount of people that like reached out to us that needed the links to catch up. We weren't sure how these were going to do, honestly, because we were doing them in between seasons. Stay tuned because we might have some other things in store. But for now, follow us at Smashing Heads on Twitter, at Smashing Heads Podcast on Instagram, Smashing Heads Podcast at gmail.com. If you want to email us, just search us on Facebook. We're there. And again, if you have Podbean, follow us on there. And I think, I'm not going to make any promises yet, I'm going to try to get us up on Spotify. I've been putting it off because the analytics are really skewed, but I feel like the more reach we have, the better. So why not?
It's better to take it than to get it.
That's it.
I wasn't going to cut you off. I was going to wait for you to finish.
I want to go home.
She's a medical surgeon.
God bless her soul, man. Mama Kim, she's a real one. She is a real one.
I will say she has impressed me.
Hey, I'm going to go home now, but I want to tell...
Are you going to think about Mama Kim?
Here's what I want to say is...
Keep it crispy.
Have a good night, everyone.
That's from another podcast.
Have a good night, everyone, and have a good night, Mama Kim.
Also, goodbye to the ruins.
Have a good night, ruins.